Yeehaw, fellow American. Do I have a pitch for you today?
Around this time last year, I got the idea for a new game. A world-building game. I've been world-building for as long as I can remember. It's always been one of my favorite things to do. I've always envisioned myself telling some epic story like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings once I had my worlds fleshed out. Of course, I would always get carried away with the world-building. The inspiration for my new game came from a few sources. Several of my friends and acquaintances in the hobby had been working on world-building projects of their own. For example, Nubmark has his Heroes of the Ravaged Gardens world-building project, and Arvania Constructions has his Of Druids and Droids world-building project. I had also been watching Tina Fieldling's videos on world-building the Hazelands. In one video, I commented, "I've done so much world-building in my life, but I haven't made good use of my worlds." To which she replied, They don't need a use. I feel like building by itself is just such a good creative workout." And honestly, that moment was a bit of a revelation to me. These worlds don't need to serve as the setting for some other project in the future. The worlds themselves are fun projects on their own. Around that same time, my wife and I had started to develop a comic book series. We had tried to collaborate on projects before, but had limited success. So we devised a method of development that would keep us both invested in that project, and it really worked out for us. Excited by that success, I started to develop a game centered on world building, which has now become known as Forge of the Cosmos. You can get a digital copy of the game now on itch.io. Link in the description. Back in April, a bunch of friends and I got together over Discord to play a game of Forge of the Cosmos. It was a hilarious, rowdy, wonderful time with some of my absolute favorite people, and at the end of it we had a world of our own. The world we created has a wealth of interesting qualities since there was a large number of participants. I'll describe some of what we decided as I tell you a little story about my project. CLAFTON SCRONIX was a criminal known for stealing aura containers from the local donation center. Bounty hunters, knights errant, and the robotic police alike were searching for this fugitive from justice, hoping to bring him back under the boot of the oppressive, capitalistic regime in power on the planet. He had stolen a flying car from one of the wealthier families in the area and fled into the desert hills, never to be seen again. That is, until 4 centuries later, when rumors began to swirl around the region that CLAFTON SCRONIX was still alive, still out there. Nobody could say that they'd seen him, but they had heard from a friend or close relative that Scronix was involved in this or that random local event. Well, the truth is much stranger than fiction, for you see, CLAFTON SCRONIX was still out there. He had used his cache of aura to extend his lifespan, living with a Krob tribe on an island to the northeast. He was seeking more than just refuge, he wanted to learn the secrets of their magical ways. He had heard stories, myths probably, of people who had lived long enough to learn their magic. That was what he set out to do, but it wouldn't be easy. The various craboid species on this world are notorious for being easily distracted and having terrible memories. He lived with the Krob tribe for over 350 years, and in that time he did learn a single magic spell. He learned how to move heavy objects with his mind. But with these secrets came some consequences. In the process of gaining his new telekinetic powers, his hands had slowly transformed into crab claws. With the powers he had under his control, he set out from his home with the Krob tribe. He wanted to use his powers for good, to do something to aid in the class struggle that had been oppressing this world for generations. In the time since he had been away, the rich had set up even more massive labor camps and mines all around the area to extract what resources they could. They filled these camps with prisoners of all kinds, most of which had never actually committed any real crime. Among the prisoners were the drained, people whose aura had been completely sucked out of them by their corporate overlords. The drained were perpetual slave labor, allowing the wealthy to continue to grow wealthier. Sick of this kind of suffering, Scronix set out towards one of the local mines. He traveled by night, of course. To do otherwise would be madness. Upon his arrival, he crept slowly along the midnight blue rock face. He wore a blue jacket in an effort to camouflage himself against it to the best of his ability. He then began to move the large concrete blocks that made up the outer wall of the prison mine. Through the hole he had created, he could see a couple of miners. Excited, he continued to move the heavy concrete blocks, shaking and destabilizing the wall as he went. Finally, he had a hole big enough to help several miners escape. This incident was known as the CLAFTON SCRONIX prison break, and it happened 75 years ago in the timeline of the world that we created. The freed miners and their families still celebrate the day as CLAFTON Day, and its popularity is gaining traction in the wider community. CLAFTON SCRONIX has become something of a folk hero, with many youths dressing in blue jackets and crab claws every year in his honor. It is not known what became of CLAFTON SCRONIX after his famed prison break. A massive firefight broke out, and many on both sides of the conflict perished. Most people in the region believe he's still out there somewhere, on the island with the Krob tribe perhaps, or maybe even further away. It is believed that he felt he could only be comfortable among the various crab peoples after spending so long with them and having his hands turn to claws. Anyways, that's the story of this guy here, CLAFTON SCRONIX. There's a whole lot more to this world that I didn't even touch on here in my video, so make sure you go check out all the other projects involved in this world. There are a bunch of links below in the description. I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone who helped make the game a reality, and to everyone involved in this world building project. It's been a huge, fun, crazy challenge, and I've had the best people there to help me along the way. Sincerely, thank you all. Some of the friends that participated in this will not be making a video or are still working on theirs, so I just wanted to take a moment to showcase some of their work here. My friend Ames over at Stuff by Ames is making a real heavyweight of a project. Make sure to check that one out when it drops. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And this one here is the work of my friend Paige over at PMC Illustration, as well as Demon Toad Games on itch.io. The project here being the staff, which is an artifact used to amplify the crab's magical power. This one here is the work of my friend Nick over at Niche Crafts. It's a fantastic blend of kit bashing and sculpting, and it just came out looking incredible. He's also got a world building project of his own called Goblands that you should really check out over on his YouTube channel. If you want to play a game of Forge of the Cosmos with your friends, go check it out on my itch.io store. The link is in the description. If you do, make sure to tag your projects with hashtag Forge of the Cosmos so I can see the amazing things you create. Until next time, I'm Jay, and this has been my Lo-Fi Workshop. Peace. So it's like,
But don't think about it too hard. It's less fun if you think about it. Don't do it.
Fair enough.
Forge of the Cosmos. It's less fun if you think about it. Done.